I used to not tell Kathy anything. I used to think it was weakness if I shared with her, an emotion or a feeling, or not that I was even able to identify emotions or feelings, but if I was just to share, anything personal or from the heart or whatever, I honestly, the story I told myself is that was weakness, that you're not supposed to do that. Like, that's weak if you share some sort of inner feeling or emotion, because in the Army, right? Airborne school, Ranger school, Jump Master school, all these different, the infantry officer. And they used to say, never let your soldiers see you sweat. Never let your soldiers see you sweat. Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
Entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers, super excited to share this episode with you about some breakthroughs and the power of breakthroughs, and to celebrate those breakthroughs that you all have, that you all experience, hopefully along your own emotional growth journey. Some of you know that we have an EQ course and EQ membership. And we also, this is kind of relatively new, we have a scientific EQ, emotional intelligence assessment that we also offer. So that's just throwing that out there. And then with that assessment comes a 1 hour kind of interpretation session or coaching session to help understand what the report says and how, because it's got a certain way that it graphs kind of, different aspects of someone's emotional intelligence. And for those of y'all that are watching this on YouTube, welcome and hello, what's up? I don't do many flow episodes like I used to when we first started the podcast, but man, I just had to share. I just wrapped up a coaching session with one of the folks going through our EQ course, and he's a very successful entrepreneur, here in the city that I'm in, and is new to the emotional growth space, just like I was a few years ago. And it has been amazing. We're only 3 weeks in to our EQ course, and just how this guy is wired, he is immediately taking action. So he's we have with our EQ course, we cover the 4 primary domains of emotional intelligence. I know there's a lot of different models out there, but the one we for our course, we use the kind of the industry kind of standard EQ model of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, social management, and we share a bunch of lessons of our own growth journeys, give lots of content, probably 10 videos plus or minus for each one of those 4 areas, maybe 5 minutes each, these videos. And then we also have a workbook that's part of the course, and then we do weekly group coaching sessions with the folks that are going through the course. Well, anyway, we're week 3, and this guy, again, professional entrepreneur, and he the amount of breakthroughs that he has already experienced in the span of 3 weeks is truly, man, it's I don't want to say mind-boggling, but it's incredible. It's inspiring. It's encouraging. It's uplifting for someone who has, again, for all intents and purposes, not been emotionally aware for most of his life. Again, just like me, and to go from emotionally unaware to boom, 3 weeks already applying these principles in his life. Like, he shared a story this morning with his son and how it's already impacted his relationship with his son. He shared last night some emotional connections that he is making to his childhood. And he shared that with his wife, which he would never have previously done, because of some of the stories that he used to be on autopilot, again, just like me. So his emotional expression was very, very low, but already starting to share some of these lessons that he's learning with his spouse, which is huge. What does that do for a relationship? What does that do for a marriage? What does that do for a friendship? Man, you just increase the transparency, the vulnerability, the intimacy of that relationship immediately. I used to not tell Kathy anything. I used to think it was weakness if I shared with her, an emotion or a feeling, or not that I was even able to identify emotions or feelings, but if I was just to share, I mean, man, anything personal or from the heart or whatever, I honestly, the story I told myself is that was weakness, that you're not supposed to do that. Like, that's weak if you share some sort of inner feeling or emotion, because in the Army, right? Airborne school, Ranger school, Jump Master school, all these different, the infantry officer. And they used to say, never let your soldiers see you sweat. Never let your soldiers see you sweat, which as I kind of gradually learned, that's complete messed up. That's crazy talk. I absolutely let my soldiers see me sweat, and would tell them up front, hey, look, some of you guys, when I got to my unit, because I'm a big guy and not very aerodynamically designed, meaning I have a lot of surface area, I'll put it that way. And I told them up front, hey guys, look, you guys, because one of the things is like, okay, your unit, your platoon is going to try to smoke you when you show up as a brand new lieutenant, take you on a run. And I told him, I said, look, you guys, hey, I'm all about, let's go for a run, platoon run, whatever. And I'm telling you right now, you guys are going to smoke me, because running is just not my jam. I've never been a fast runner. I said, now I will never stop running. I will always keep one foot in front of the other. I will never stop running. But I'm telling you, you guys will literally run circles around me. I said, now put a 100-pound rucksack on me, and I'll go all day. Let's go up mountains. Ranger school, that was my jam. I was the mule, man. I'd give me all kinds of stuff in the rucksack, and I'd carry that all day. So I was totally vulnerable with my platoon, but with my spouse, trying to be vulnerable was, I don't know. I just kind of carried that whole philosophy of the Army, like, hey, don't be super vulnerable with your soldiers, and don't get super personal. Man, I carried that into my marriage. And as soon as I realized, like, I remember one time, after one intense family fellowship, she's like, dude, I want to hear that stuff. And I'm like, what? You want to hear when I'm struggling with stuff? You want to hear when I'm going, having some sort of emotion or feeling, whatever? She's like, dude, yes. Like, and now looking back, it just sounds dumb to me, crazy that was my mindset. But I see, like, that's like, emotions and feelings are like some of the most intimate stuff, because it's the deepest, realest, rawest, purest stuff that we experience as humans. And to keep those on ice, to keep those buried in the basement, locked in the basement, in the vault, in the emotional vault, man, how close can you really get with somebody? How intimate can you really get with somebody if you wall all that stuff off and you don't allow yourself to access it, and then you don't open and share any of that stuff up with your spouse and close family members and friends and stuff like that. Like, man, your relationships will be shallow at best. And my pastor used to say the quality of relationship, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. And so if you don't express or share how you're feeling, how close can you have in terms of relationships go, right? So just hearing this guy make the connections that he was making and sharing them with me, being open and honest and vulnerable and sharing them with me, which I'm sure was not super easy and not super comfortable, but he did it. And I asked him, and he was sharing like, man, after he shared all that stuff, I said, hey, how did that make you feel? And he said, liberating. So I just want to encourage you guys, man, celebrate your emotional growth journey. It is worth it. You are worth it. You matter.